Good morning, citizens, and how are you today? This is part one of a three-part series that I am putting out all at the same time about rock mining in the current version of Star Citizen. It turned out to be a lot larger than I thought, so I thought I would break it up into smaller sections. I will also be trying to put out one of my very short, very to the point tutorials as well. But this is part one, which is just preparing for rock mining. So if you are looking to get into rock mining, but you already know how to get a rock, where to get the equipment, what you really need, this is not the video for you. This is just going to quickly go through that. I would skip ahead to part two, which is mining, or part three, which is some of the issues that you might find with the current version of the game. So without further ado, let's get to it and get ready to prepare to rock mine and how you get started on this still profitable game loop in the game. First things first, getting into rock mining, you need to get prepared. You need to get every piece of equipment you need to go rock mining. And technically, all you need is a rock. You get a rock or a rock DS. We'll get into the DS a little bit later. That's all you need to do rock mining. However, it's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be easy. The two things that will make it easier and more profitable, one is a ship that will carry a rock. So if you're unsure whether or not your ship will carry a rock, you can look it up, you can Google, you can find out. However, the Nomad carries a rock, the Cutlass Black carries a rock. I believe the Cutlass Red can technically carry a rock, but it's not quite as good. The Cutlasses do, the MSR does. There's quite a few ships out there that will carry a rock, and having a spaceship that can carry a ground vehicle makes this so much easier because you can travel further distances, you can go try finding other areas. You're not having to stay close to an area that you're going to be coming back to sell. You can quite easily stop for the day by storing your ship somewhere and then taking your ship back out. So having a ship that can carry your vehicle as well as a rock are just awesome ways in order to really make a good profit. Now, you don't need to buy a rock or buy a cutlass to do rock mining. You can actually rent them. So here I am at HUR L2, which is one of the mining refinery stations. My favorite one to go to, the Faithful Dream. Going there, we're going to head to the refinery deck. And once in the refinery deck, we're going to go find the terminal where you can rent ships. And you're looking there, you can rent the Cutlass Black and the rock. So I'm going to rent those both at the same time. Also, because we want to get the most profit, we want to get ourselves lots of Hadnite, which is the most expensive gem on there. And I like going to one of the moons around Hurston, which is close by to Faithful Dream. And it's hot. It's a hot moon, so you're definitely going to want to pick up Pembroke armor and Pembroke helmet. It's Pembroke undersuit, I should say, not armor. You want to pick that up as well. And once you got that, you are good to go. The armor you got to buy, but you can rent the ships. However, one good run with the rock, you're going to be buying yourself a rock in no time. The rock itself is fairly cheap. So I've got some video here of me buying these vehicles because I've made enough money in this game to really start upgrading my fleet once again. So I bought myself a new rock and a new Cutlass Black. Both of these can be found in Lorville at New Deal. You just go there and you can see the rock, not that expensive at all. So fairly cheap vehicle. The Cutlass Black, a little bit more, over $1 million to buy that. But making money, it's definitely a good idea to get some vehicles that will help make you money. The Cutlass Black is great for doing bounties and deliveries as well as rock mining. The rock will pay for itself. So the rock is a ship that I can definitely see and suggest that you buy right away, whereas you may continue to rent the Cutlass if you don't think you'll be using it quite a bit, because as long as you're making back the amount of money you're paying for rentals, everything else after that is profit, so you're always still going to be making some money if you're putting in some time with these vehicles. So I go to the hangar with the Cutlass. This is something new. With the new update of the Cutlass Steel, they changed how you access the ramp. So it actually took me a while to figure out how to access the ramp here. And so I am clicking on the ramp and it wasn't working. I didn't even notice that there's the ramp access panels down below. That's where they are now, so that's a bit of a change. The Cutlass will hold the rock. It will not hold a rock DS. So if you're looking at getting a DS, you cannot use the Cutlass with this. It'll fit into a Star Runner. Oddly enough, I found out later that it fits into the the Nomad, which you'll see later in this video when I discover that. But the Cutlass Black will not fit a ROC DS. You need to get the ROC. And also, the ROC is a better single-person mining vehicle anyways. The ROC DS, designed for 2 people, even then, I still can't recommend it. It's much better to mine in a ROC than a ROC DS, in my opinion. At least currently, maybe some things will change. Maybe they'll be able to put on a larger laser and do things faster or be more profitable. But at the moment, even the fact that it holds more isn't a big issue because you're still having a lot more fiddling in order to mine with the ROC DS. Alright, so now we have our ship, and it's time to get the ROC and put it in our ship. You have to go to a ground-based location for that. If you're in Lorville, you can take a ROC out from the surface entrances. Same with if you're at New Babbage. However, for Lorville, I do not recommend it because if you go to the surface entrances there and get your ROC, you can't land your ship anywhere near it in order to load it on. So it's better to go to a place called Platinum Bay. Most places on moons and planets, most places you can jump to, do have a Platinum Bay. They're very easy to spot. There's the 2 small blue landing pads. You're just going to head there and land your vehicle. Now I'm in the Cutlass here, looking around, trying to figure out how to open the exterior doors. This is something that's good to learn for rock mining, is how to open the doors from the interior. And since I don't really use the Cutlass that much for this, it took me a bit, but it's looking down and to the left, you're able to open the doors and have them open. And this is just so it makes it quicker, so when you're taking off and landing, if you forget to raise the ramp, or if you want to check to make sure that the ramp is touching the ground, you can do it from the driver's seat. Also, always good to get into the habit of turning your engines off when you come into a landing. So I do that, and then I'm going to head into the Platinum Bay area, and I'm going to take the ROC out. So these terminals operate the same way as any of the terminals inside of a space station. The big difference is that these only spawn small ground-based vehicles. So choose your ROC on here. You'll notice that you might need to claim this if you've never taken it from this location before, or you've just rented it. Not a worry because it's only a 15-second claim, so there's no even real reason to pay to speed this up, because 15 seconds, ridiculously short time. So once your claim is done, then you just select the vehicle and spawn it. It'll spawn on one of the pads outside, so then you can just see it through the window. Once it's there, you can just leave the building and get into the vehicle. So as I get into the ROC, I'll go over some of the controls. They're fairly simple controls, but a little bit different than a spaceship. So once you're in the seat, again, like any other ship, tapping R will power it on. That's the easiest way to power it on. Tapping I will turn the engines on or off, but they will start for the very first time as being on. To enter the mining mode or put away the mining arm, you're going to tap M. So you can try that right now if you want, but make sure that it is put away before you try to put it in your ship. That way it's not getting in the way. And then the easiest way I find to drive is to tap F4. Put yourself into an external camera so you can see what you're doing. Then moving the mouse does not steer your ship. Just like it would with a spaceship, it's different here. Moving the mouse just allows you to look around while you're driving. You're using WSAD as your movement keys. The A and D keys will turn your wheels, but it's not instantaneous. It's like using a steering wheel that if you just tap it a few times lightly, you're going to barely move left or right while you're moving forwards. But you have to be moving forwards or backwards while you are turning. So fairly simple control, so feel free to drive around for a while. And then get yourself into the ship. Now if you're loading into a Nomad, you must back in. If you drive in forwards, you will not be able to exit the vehicle and then get out of the bay. But with a Cutlass Black or most other ships, you can drive straight in and get out. So we're going to just drive straight up the ramp into the back of the Cutlass. Don't go full speed, slow down a bit. Again, make sure the mining arm is away before you drive into the Cutlass. So now that we are all ready to go, I'm going to head to my favorite moon. It's actually where I was loading the ROC before. I just needed to come back and get the Pembroke suit, and that is Aberdeen. And the reason why I love Aberdeen is because Aberdeen, if you find rock minables there, chances are it's going to be hadanite. And if you watch my hand mining video, you'll know that hand mining hadanite was profitable because it's about double what anything else is worth. So it's the most valuable, therefore what you're going to go for. So my recommendation is go to Hurston and then the moon of Aberdeen.
Thank you, and please visit again.
So here we are at Aberdeen. Now you could fly directly down to the surface of the planet and begin mining. If you do not have your rock yet, you could go to a place like Anderson or Norgard here and look for a platinum bay and pick up your rock there. One place to always avoid is the rehabilitation facility, which is over, no, it's not letting me aim at it right now, over there. The rehabilitation facility is the prison. So if you go, there we go. So if you go there, you are trespassing, you're going to get a crime stat, so avoid that location. Also, a lot of people breaking people out of jail will be there, and your ship, there's a greater chance of being spotted. If you jump to a location, that also is a place that most people will go to. So I'll show you here. I'll aim towards Norgard here, and I'll jump there. Jumping there brings you to the surface of the planet a lot faster than if you were flying straight down from wherever you were in space. However, if anyone wants to get to the surface of the planet quick, or they're looking for people potentially picking up ships or rocks, they will know to jump to that location first and start exploring. So also, we are now on the dark side of the planet, and I do not recommend rock mining on the dark side of the planet, because what you're going to be doing is flying over the surface of the planet, and you don't want to hit the planet, you don't want to hit anything, you want to be able to be seen. But if you hit tab, you can kind of see at least a little bit of the terrain down below while you're in the dark. But what I recommend, if there's no place you can jump to quickly to get to the surface, go around the different orbital markers, there's one here, and fly around the planet till you find a place that looks good and is in the light. So right now we're still on the dark side. There's another orbital marker right there, orbital marker 5. We'll jump over there. And now we are in the sun. Now, eventually you will be in nighttime. Eventually the sun will set. But at least for now, I'm going to hit B to turn off my jump drive. I can just mouse wheel up and start dropping down. Now, I am quite high up. Currently, we're not even in the atmosphere, so don't really have to worry about slowing down just yet. So I'm able to I'll hit Alt-C and turn off coupled flight. So I'm just coasting. I'm just going to let my ship fall for a bit and fall towards the surface. Once we start hitting the atmosphere and I'm watching my my altitude, you have to learn your ship and know when you start pulling up, but you definitely want to slow down before getting to the planet's surface. So what I'm going to do right now is just fall for a bit until we start hitting the atmosphere. And once we're in the atmosphere, I'll come back and show you just the beginning scanning, looking for items. So here we are. We started entering the atmosphere at around 24,000 meters. What I did is I hit Alt-C to turn coupled flight back on, and I pointed up so that my main engines are pointing into space, and those slowed me down quite quickly, so I was able to stop. And I've stopped at about 4,000 meters above the surface. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to fly down. I'm going to mouse wheel down so I can't hit my maximum speed. Now, one of the good things about coasting down to the planet's surface is that you're not using hydrogen. In fact, as you fall, your scoops on your ship are sucking in hydrogen and you are refueling your ship. So that is the advantage of being uncoupled while moving. If you're just stationary, your ship is not moving in space, you don't gain any fuel. But even in space, as long as you're coasting and moving and uncoupled, you will be gaining fuel back. Now, there are some pings coming up here. There are some places where we'll be able to do some scanning and mining. And so this is where I'm going to end this video. I'm going to cut this one here, and we're going to go into video number 2, which is mining. And I'll show you some mining, I'll show you some scanning. Now that we're at a location where we can mine, we can begin doing some of the real work. So head on over to the second video in the series about actual mining, or the third video about some issues that you may have while mining, and get to work making a profit. So until next time, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon in the verse. Goodbye.